It's now time for Motivational Mondays, a platform where real stories inspire and motivate. Motivational Mondays is sponsored by Fionia Distributors LLC, where you can get motivational t-shirts and Fionia Salmon's biography. It will be long, but not forever. Now, here's your host, Fionia Salmon.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Motivational Mondays. I am your host, Fionia Salmon. A warm welcome to viewers on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we are honored to sit with a woman whose life journey is a powerful reflection of courage and purpose. Natassia Wright lost her mother, father, and also her grandmother as a child, a devastating loss that could challenge anyone. But she didn't just survive. She rose. Today, she's thriving in HR field, impacting lives and leading with empathy. All all alongside her supportive husband, her story reminds us that even in the deep loss, we can find strength and purpose. Before we dive into the discussion, you're invited to subscribe to the YouTube channel that is Fionia and Friends. Your comments and questions on YouTube can be shown on screen. Motivational Mondays, as the intro said, is sponsored by my Fionia Distributors LLC, the company that just distributes my stainless steel barware set right here, my motivational t-shirts that I'm wearing, and these are actually unlimited edition. So go ahead and DM me and you'll get one of your own. And also my newly product, my coffee mug, go ahead and also get this. Also, let's dive into the discussion with Natassia. Natassia, how are you? And welcome to Motivational Mondays.
I am well. Thank you so much for having me, Fiona. It is indeed a pleasure and an honor to be sharing with you this evening, precious Monday evening. Thank you.
Thank Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm happy to have you. Let's start at the beginning. Let's just go back to the beginning of everything. Natassia, before you became the woman that you are today, you were a little girl navigating unimaginable loss. Can you take us back to your childhood, where you grew up, where you went to school, and also what's your family dynamics were? Just walk us through those early years.
Absolutely. So I was born and raised firstly in a community called Almontown. It's in central Kingston, and it was definitely poverty. It was a ghetto area, and as much as we were poor, I never went to bed hungry. I tell people that all the time. And I lived in a yard filled with relatives. So I had aunts, uncles, granduncle, grandaunt, big family. Many cousins were all there. And I can tell you that we lived as best as we could, meaning that, when pot cook, everybody eats, right? Because my great grandmother would be the one to ensure that we were all taken care of. And I remember only being about 10 years old, coming home from school, from primary school, when I was pretty much saw my relatives displaced. They were on the road, they looked distressed, only to find that big house that we all occupied was burnt down. It was burnt flat to the ground. And so we all had to pick up the pieces elsewhere, right? It was very tough for us because that was home. And so, having to lose everything definitely took a toll on us. But as a strong family unit, we decided that we were going to rebuild and rebuild stronger. Months after losing that house, came home, but this time, as I opened my yard gate, it was worse news that I was met with. My great grandmother said to me, "Sade, you not hear your father dead." And so, to paraphrase, she was saying, "Sade, did you hear that your father died today?" And let me tell you something. I know about nobody else. I am the ultimate daddy's girl, and my father was my everything. But he was a police officer, and he was shot and killed in the line of duty.
Oh,
So it was
wow.
very tough, very, very tough. We had an excellent relationship. Now, my mother and I, we never got along so well, but love her so much. She was actually a very strict mother, rough, those type of mothers who are serious. They just give you one look and you fall right in line. That was my mother, right? But my father's toll definitely took a toll on me, because for many months, I can tell people, I was walking around and saying to myself that
Mm,
one day someone's going to wake me up and it will all just be a
a
dream.
dream. Oh, wow.
It couldn't be true, not my father, right? But, my mother ended up getting married later on in life. We moved to another community. My mom got married, and I'm now in fifth form at Woolmer's High School for Girls, still on that same stretch of
Yes.
road. Can you imagine all my schools in the same vicinity? Now at Woolmer's High School for Girls, and this particular Saturday, my mom, she went to get some, errands done. But when she came home in the afternoon, she was having an asthma attack.
Oh,
And
wow.
asthma attacks were actually quite normal in our household, because my stepfather had a wood shop, where he did carpentry, so it would
Mm,
often trigger her asthma. But this
oh,
evening, it was just me, her, and my younger brother at home. So she said, you know what? Stay home with him. I'm going to go to the hospital, get some help, and come back, get treatment, and come back. The only thing she asked of me was to get a cab for her. And I did that, got the cab, watched her stumble into the taxi as she was leaving. And I remember, I went on about my business that evening, and probably about 2, 3 hours after, I got a phone call that my mother died under treatment. At
oh,
that
wow.
point, I was 16 years old,
Mm,
and of course, you would say fatherless and no motherless. Um, the worst part of this whole thing, Fionia, is that this happened on a Saturday, less than 48 hours after I had 8 CXC exams to sit.
wow.
Yes. So I had done all my
Wow.
paper ones, but my mother died in the middle of June. I had my paper twos to do. So I had to go into these exams and literally write essays. They weren't multiple choice exams. And so I remember I told you that my mom she was more of the rougher side
Yes.
versus my dad would spoil me
Mm,
rotten. So my mom
yes.
and I, we bumped heads. However, leading up to my mother's death, we were like sisters. We were like in the house, like two big kids, and we were so close. And she would say to me, do you think you can get 6 out of the 8 subjects? And I'm like, of course I can give you 6 out of the 8. I'm a bright girl. That's what I would, I told her. I said, I'm a bright girl. Of course I can give you 6 out of the 8 subjects. And so I remembered that promise, because that Monday morning, when it was time to go and do the exams, my relatives were saying, listen, you don't have to go. They were saying, we are under so much stress right now.
Mm,
If you decide that you don't want to do those exams, it's okay. And you know what I did? I still put my school uniform on, and I still went ahead and went to school, because I was determined that I was going to give my mother the 6 out of the 8 subjects that she asked me for.
oh,
And so I went, and I remember, I'll never forget, because I am so blessed to be able to go back to my school and share my story every now and then. And it's good when I go back, I see the same persons that I would have met that day who knew my story. And so I went to school that day, saw the gentleman at the gate. He knew my mom. When I shared with him what happened, the tears started to
mm,
flow.
oh,
And let
wow.
me tell you, almost all those exams I cried through. When the paper didn't
Mm,
get wet and the ink was all messed up in that
mm,
paper, it was just tough. But I did it because I remember promising my mom that I was going to get 6 out of the 8 subjects. It just so happened that when we buried my mom, which was it was the Sunday, the Saturday, the Wednesday, I had graduation. And when I
Wow.
went to graduation, that same auditorium that you're seeing on your screen right now, I was standing in that auditorium for graduation. And I never forget the MC for the graduation said, graduates, we're going to sing the song. Because you know, every graduation has a theme
Yes.
song.
Mm-hmm.
And the instruction was like this: graduates, stand and face your parents. I wanted that floor to open up and just swallow me
Oh, wow.
because I was just so stunned, and it brought things home. It reminded me that your parents aren't around. What are you
Mhm.
gonna do now? Though after graduation results came out, I decided I wasn't going for any results because I said, boy, under that kind of pressure, I'm sure I failed. But my grade coordinator was the one who called me, and she told me I got 6 2s and 2 1s. So if you are great at
What?
math,
So
yes.
that was it.
If you are great at maths, then that would mean that I didn't fail not one of those subjects, even
Wow.
the circumstances.
Wow.
And I tell people every day, that's just the grace of God. How else would it have been possible having facing such, tremendously hard times? Now, at this time, my grandmother, that's my mother's mother, who was living in the States, came home, and she pretty much took my brother and I. We moved to Spanish Town, and 1 year after my mother died, that grandmother died from cancer, and so
Wow.
I had to go back to Almontown. When I went back to Almontown and I saw my peers that I left in Almontown a few years prior, I decided that I wanted to be different. I said, God, I want to be the one that people can look at and say, if Natassia could make it out,
Mm-hmm.
I can too. And so I started my journey, and here we are, Fionia. You are here doing an interview on this very same story, that same young lady from Almontown, having gone through gang violence, poverty, molestation, tragedy. I'm still here. So that's how it started.
Natassia, first of all, I want to say I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you did it, but it's so many things to unpack right now.
Yeah.
And how did, you know, losing your core support system, I especially being a daddy's girl and knowing that your father always, he has your back. How did that shape you into the woman that you are today?
Boy, should I share the good side? Should I share the pros
I
first
need
or
I
the
need
cons?
everything. Just give it to us.
The
Give
truth
us the
is,
positives.
the
Let's start at the positives and then we go down to the negatives.
losing your core support at such a tender age, losing who would be considered your protector and your provider and all of that, it does something to you. For one, if you are geared the right way, it can be a fuel. It can be a fuel to say, I will honor my father's legacy by doing all that he would want me to do. And that's something that I focused on from very early, because my father expected a lot from me. I can tell you that. He always pushed me, and he always told me that I should be the best. I should aim for the best. And as the first child, usually the most of the pressure is on us. But that's one positive. I was able to use it as fuel instead, because I said, he always wanted the best for me, so I'm gonna go for that. The second thing is, having faced adversity from so early, it gives you a certain level of resilience that you're not
Mhm.
gonna find anywhere else, right? There is a certain level of determination and strength, and just fearlessness when it comes to taking on challenges, when it comes to when the rubber hits the road kind of thing, because you can literally look back and say, I've gone through worse. Like, this
Mhm.
is nothing. I can go through this, right? I can do all things through Christ who
That's so
strengthens
strength.
me.
That's right.
Right. Julian is saying, Natassia, I don't know how you do it, but it's just God's grace again, and just learning from early that the only person that can stop me is me. I told
Natassia.
my grandmother, I have a grandmother that is still alive today, and she always tells me, she would say, Sade is my nickname. She says, Sade, you told me after your mother died that nothing will ever stop you after this. And I held true to that. But on the flip side, there are actually some things it causes problems now, because when you're too independent enough, Fionia, by the time
Mm-hmm.
you get into marriage, you realize that you're doing what you're not supposed to be doing because you are Miss Independent. So it makes you try to do everything because you believe that you can only depend on yourself, which is a drawback when it comes to doing anything great. One cannot do it alone, right? If we want to climb Red Hills, I can climb Red Hills by myself. If I want to go up Mount Everest, it's gonna take a team. And so I have had to learn that teamwork makes the
The
dream
dream
work,
works.
right? Another con is sometimes when you go through these really rough seasons, and
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to tragedies, you are used to being a loner, right? You can cope being by yourself, but isolation is a really powerful weapon of the enemy, and so we have to be careful. You need a community to grow, right? So for example, Fionia and Friends would not be Fionia and Friends if she never had a community. And
That's right.
so we thinking that we are good all by ourselves
That's so
is
true.
a problem. So that's my little tidbit, but it definitely has been a rough road, but I've learned it's not what happens to you, it's how you perceive what happens to you.
Natasha, you're giving us great strength, but I know that deep down there must have been some dark moments growing up. How did you navigate those moments?
That's a very powerful question. Very, very powerful question. Because when those dark moments came, they were truly dark. I
Oh
mean,
God.
I remember days while at UTech, I would literally go to classes. After classes, I would just walk around the street and then go home to cry. I mean, it's hard to express how one feels having gone through so much. But I kept true to the faith that my mother introduced me to. So my mother was a Christian, and sure enough, my mother was all about practicing faith. She was all about if you don't feel well today, you can get a cup of water, pray over it, and drink it. She
Mm,
was all about exercising her faith, and she would always tell me that I have a purpose. My mother was instrumental on giving me the foundation that I needed where faith is concerned. And I believe that faith is one of those things high on the list that kept me going even in the dark times. And I always told myself, I said, God, you must have a purpose. Having gone through all of this, there must be
mhm.
something that you're doing with my life. It cannot just be that you want to cause me all this pain. And so I held true to those things, and I truly believe that God would turn the story around, and He continues to show me that on a daily basis.
Wow. I I'm like I could sit here all evening and listen to your motivation, your determination, a woman of strength, a tower of strength. Um, I don't know. From those difficult early years, you found your way into a profession that it's all about people. Do you think that your journey help you to walk in that journey of helping others?
Absolutely. It is directly related to when as a HR consultant, I can tell you that I look a little bit deeper than the normal person would. Now they say that HR professionals are naturally empath, which is true. We can empathize, we can sympathize with an individual, and not only that, we see ourselves in other people's shoes. Now imagine Having gone through all of that and being in a field that you really have to look out for people, I think that's like the ultimate strategic move right there. But it has definitely helped because I have realized that, people sometimes just need a listening ear. If
That's
you
right.
look at all the issues that a HR manager has to navigate on a daily basis, it's going to take somebody who genuinely cares for people, right? When you're recruiting, when you're looking for a talent, when somebody really needs that opportunity to
Mhm.
change the life of their family, right? And so I believe it is definitely, it's directly related. It's that thing about nurturing the souls of others while they're on the job, and just setting them on the right path from early so that they can live fulfilled lives. It's all tied in.
Uh, do you always knew that you want to go into HR, like in the early years, like in high school? Did you always know that HR is your calling, or you just developed this calling over a period of time?
I didn't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not know. When I was young and I was growing up, I wanted to be an attorney. I said, okay, I'm going to defend people. That's what I'm gonna do. But I always dreamt of myself being on stages, whether it's singing, dancing, it doesn't matter. I knew I was destined for the world stage. I just didn't understand how it would all work out. By the time I entered the working world, well, before that, I did my degree in production and operations management. And then I found myself in a 9 to 5 that I actually literally worked my way up from a summer worker to a supervisor in a large corporation. And I just found myself in HR. And to me, of all the different departments that I've been in, I was like, this is it. I enjoy this. I enjoy helping my fellow colleagues. I get what they're talking about. I understand why they need that raise. I see the issues and I want to help. I want to be the change. And so I didn't always know. And to be honest, even when I entered the working world, I still wasn't sure. But asking me that today, I am 100% knowing that I'm in the right field, as well as going out there on the world stage to share with people as an international speaker. So it's quite dynamic, but I do believe that it's something I found I met along the way. I didn't know it from the start.
I must say, just by talking to you outside of the show, you are very relatable. It's a good trait to have. And definitely you're in the right field because HR is all about people, as what Jillian says. It's all about people. And on that note, you're tuned into Motivational Mondays. I am your host, Fionia Salmon. Today's guest is Natassia, a woman whose life journey is a powerful reflection of courage and purpose. Motivational Mondays is sponsored by Ionia Distributors LLC, the company that distributes my stainless steel barware sets, that's right here, and also my motivational t-shirts that I'm wearing, and it's featured the title of my book, It Will Be Long But Not Forever. Please, I'm asking you, support me by getting a t-shirt, getting a barware set, also get a coffee mug, and while you're at it, get a pen to go with that as well. And I do have t-shirts in the black, the white, the red, the green, the purple. So go ahead and reach out to me, DM me. And also, thank you so much for those who follow me already. And I just want to say, please go ahead and spread the content wide and far. Thank you so much. And for those who are watching that haven't subscribed yet, please, I'm asking you, what are you waiting on? Go ahead and subscribe and support me. Let's get back into the discussion with Natassia. From those difficult early years, you have found your way into a profession that it's all about people, as I said before. Let's talk about that journey. What in HR you oftentimes the emotional backbone of an organization. How do you care for others while still managing your own healing?
Oh, that's a powerful question. That's a powerful one. It's difficult. And so I have been so blessed to every now and then I've been speaking to other HR professionals, and they will carry personal feelings, matters, views into their work. And we have to really be able to take a step back and say, am I thinking like this because I have a
Mm,
suspicious mind? And so you always have to have a balanced perspective to say, okay, let me use principal policies or guidelines on this matter and not take it up into my own hands or in my own thoughts, thinking that this person may be lying, or they're
mm,
misrepresenting themselves, or just to be suspicious. So when you're handling your own healing, you have to remember that we're people. We are all people. And we have this new slang that says we listen, we don't judge. That's your HR. That
mm.
should be your HR.
Should
Your
be.
It should be your HR, right? You're not necessarily you're not fault finding, but you're more so
Mhm,
hearing. And I believe that as an HR professional, you have to do a little bit of deep diving. Now, if you are in a healing process, you can also understand what it's like to be misunderstood, not heard, right? Feeling judged. And so,
mhm,
what you need to do is to use those instances, those experiences, and then take a step in that person's shoe. And I believe that when you are an HR professional, God gives you an opportunity to rewrite your own story because you're helping people beforehand. So you have to manage carefully.
that's right.
Remember that we're all people, we all mess up, right?
Mhm,
um, do not be quick to judge, do not be quick to throw away. People need opportunities, people
that's
can
right.
mess up, people can
That's right.
change.
Mhm,
Your role is to support, your role is to ensure that at the end of the day, the individual has had a great experience in your workspace. All right, but more so to understand that when you are effectively working as a HR, you give other people the opportunity to have a better work experience. So you can't allow, because of what you went through, to give somebody else hell, right? So
mhm.
I like to say you have to manage it well, and there's a thin line about rewriting history when it comes to you being on a healing journey as well.
Is there a moment in your career or in your HR career that you know exactly, or you knew exactly where you wanted to be? Like, is there a moment that you said, "Man, I'm at the right place"?
Yeah, I remember my that first job that I told you about, that I entered as a summer worker and left as a supervisor. I remember going through so much while I was on that job. I was young. I was supervising, leading, managing a team of persons that were way older than I was. And so it came with a lot of backlash. It came with a lot of criticisms. But Fionia, instead of running away, instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to quit, I stuck it out until the entire organization was made redundant. And the same young lady that people would say she's no fit for HR ended up being the person to do everyone's redundancy calculation, to end up being the one to do everyone's redundancy letter. It's just so amazing when you see how instrumental you can be in the process of in something as sensitive as ensuring that we all leave with our rightful compensation. I think at that moment I realized that I was at the right place at the right time doing the right thing, and I never came out of it prematurely. And so I like to tell people, yes, the pressure may be hard, but what is it preparing you for? Because that thing that I did that made me realize I was in the right field, I'm doing it today. When I left that company, I went straight into my HR consultancy. And by 6 months' time, I had almost 100 employees. And
Oh,
and so
wow.
that same person that, persons look at and say, boy, you're in the wrong field. It so happened that everything worked out the way it should have been. And so I think from that moment, I realized that, man, you're here for a reason.
I must ask you this. What does HR looks for in a good candidate? Is it the soft skills or is it the experience?
Okay. So a lot of HR professionals will have different things. I can only respond from my perspective. So when a HR person is looking to recruit, of course, they will be given criteria that a person needs to meet in terms of experience, in terms of their qualification and so on. But for me, I have to tell you, attitude trumps everything. If
Wow.
someone comes before me with a limited amount of experience, with a limited amount of qualification, and they have the right attitude, I have enough formula to make them a star,
Hmm.
because it means that when I share feedback, they won't be offended. They won't cut me off because I'm trying to help them. They can take feedback, right? And they can use that to become a better person. I actually caught a little clipping of a podcast earlier today. Aubrey Hill was on the podcast, and he said he treats his worst critic like
Mhm.
an unpaid consultant. And when he said that, that hit my core, because he's literally saying that there must be some level of truth in what is being said. And so I believe attitude determines altitude. if
Ooh.
you if you're great on soft skill, yes, communication, one of the top ways to get paid is by being an excellent communicator, right? And so those things, soft skills, having, emotional intelligence, that's another big one on my list.
Mhm.
You have a lot of educated people, you have a lot of mature people who cannot regulate their emotions. They cannot manage themselves. And so for me, these things are very high up on the list, more so than what may be required for the job, because once you're teachable, trainable, coachable, everything else will fall in line. But separate and apart from attitude, you need to also ensure the person is a right fit for the organization. Never forget that, because you may have a good candidate, but they're not a good fit for the
Good fit.
culture of the organization. And what is culture? Culture is how we do things around here. And so we have to be mindful of those things. But every HR professional may be looking for something different. But for me, attitude is big
Attitude.
here. Yes.
Attitude. Thank you so much for shedding light on and give us those little nuggets. So, for all the listeners tuning in, remember, attitude determines your altitude. Let's shift a little bit. No one, I remember the beginning of this interview, the beginning you said that no man is an island and no man stands alone. I want to go back to say no one climbs mountain alone.
Right.
And you have shared on social media, and I've seen your husband behind the scenes, and he's the one videoing, he's the one taking photos, and you're saying, I don't remember his name, but you'll be like, he's behind the scenes, you know. So your husband, he supports you 100%. And I want to know, how has your husband supported and empowered you as you continue to grow?
I love that question, and I
Yes.
appreciate you asking. The truth is, I highly doubt Natassia would be the Natassia you're seeing if it
Wow.
weren't for his influence and, encouragement. I am naturally a very introverted individual, very reserved.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the type of person, I'll be in a space, you'll never see me, you'll never hear me. But, over a period of time, especially as the story unfolded, he said, Nas, the story is not for you to hide, it's for you to share. And
Wow.
who would have thought that this is the same story that people are calling me from all over the world to hear?
To hear.
But Jamar is so instrumental in what we do because, again, I may be the face, he's the brain. Um, and even some of the most of the morning charts, topics, and so on, he's the one with the brain. Like my husband
Wow.
has read close to 600 books. He's literally a walking, breathing machine of knowledge. No, I'm serious. He really is. And from time to time, people will reach out and say, Natassia, how you know so much? I said, well, to be honest, my husband reads the book and then he gives me a summary. And so that kind of so before
Wow.
Chat GPT came on the scene, I had my very own Chat GPT in the house, right? But it's just knowing that you have someone there who knows your weaknesses, knows your strengths, and is able to help you to strengthen in your weak areas and to also help you to strengthen in the strengths. He's just an amazing person, and I'm so grateful to have him, share with me on this journey, because trust me, it gets tough. Just as it looks great traveling all over the world and
Mm-hmm.
speaking, it is incredibly hard to keep things together in terms of business and family, and the dynamics can be really pressuring. So I'm grateful for his amazing support and his vision, because he is a visionary.
Oh, wow.
So I'm on the back end of a lot of congratulatory messages from Profile and so on. But I tell people, when it was time to go on Profile, I told him I didn't want to go. And he was like, what do you mean you don't want to go? He was like, are you crazy? You have to go. And he pushes me, and I'm so, so grateful for this gentleman. He said he give trouble too. So, yes, that is true. Remember, I told you
Good
about the
trouble. Hopefully, it's good
independence
trouble.
and the hard headedness. Yes. So, he has his fair share of trouble, but I can tell you that I've seen us grow from strength to strength, and his vision, his efforts is all tied into it.
Awesome. That is so awesome. So right now I'm going to take a question from
Yes.
the chat. Jillian says, how do you feel or deal with someone that claimed to know it all on the job? I guess he's referring to on the job.
Hmm. Definitely. So you're gonna find these people everywhere in the world. It doesn't matter what you do. There's always someone who thinks that they know everything. In fact, I just had a conversation with a staff member of one of my clients who, this young man thought that he believes he knew everything. And what do you do but just remind him that we're all learning, none of us know everything, and that the best way to grow is
Mhm.
by learning from others,
That's right.
not thinking that you have all the answers, because the person who thinks he has all the answers actually has none. And so you have to deal with it with a level of matureness, and just to leave someone in their folly. But if you're giving guidance, you give guidance. But if you see that it's not going anywhere, then you have to know, like, when to walk away from that.
Jillian, I hope that your question is answered. Jay says it's true. So everyone is in agreement with what you said. But what does true emotional partnership look like, especially for women navigating both personal pain and also professional ambition?
Wow, that's a great question. I want you to repeat the first part again for me.
How does true emotional partnership, or what does true emotional partnership looks like, especially for women navigating both personal
And profession.
pain and professional ambition? Say, for example, You have been through so much throughout your life, and you have all this ambition. But how do you navigate, especially with your husband, that emotional partnership? How do you navigate that?
Wow, I feel like this question is so I'm not gonna say it's tough, but it needs to be dissected. Well, first things first, you start from the premise of knowing that we're all people and that we're all broken. That's number one. We are all people, we are all broken. Two, understand that we cannot do it alone. So although I am hurting, although I am in pain, I still have to show up for my family. I still have to show up because I want to be able to earn in the respective career that I'm in. But also understand that, especially if you are in a marriage, the whole point of the marriage is to be able to share how you feel and to be comforted and supported, right? No, there is a point where you can actually use that very pain and turn it into some kind of passion. So let's say, I'm just using some examples now, Fionia. Let's say
Yes.
that you were in an abusive relationship. Yes, you're a career woman. Yes, you're driven, but you were in an abusive relationship and that truly took a toll on you. As a career woman, you can also actually be an advocate for ensuring that women are safe. You can use your own space, your platforms to share tips on, how to caution women, how to empower women to do well in their career so they can take care of themselves. Whatever the case is, that very thing that you are hurting in, you can use that to help other people.
Mhm.
Likewise, I'm pretty much doing the same with all the tragedy that I've gone through. I found a way to turn that into healing. And when I go into these workspaces, I'm going with that mind frame that God has graced me to bring emotional healing to people while I'm even broken and still going through what I'm going through, because somebody needs to hear from our experience. But you have to get up with a mindset that broken vessels can
Mhm.
still do the job. It may not be effective, it may take time, but you cannot just sit down and say, oh, because I'm feeling this way, I cannot do anything today. I cannot work, I cannot serve. Imagine if you and I got up today and say, I am so broken, I don't want to do motivational Mondays. How
So
many
true.
persons would be missing out?
A lot.
And so we are living in a society that will actually glorify the pain. And so I'm saying to you, one way to get true healing is to serve through the pain. Even when you don't feel like it, you get up. And let's say Fiona gets up today and she say,
Mhm.
you know what, I don't feel like it today, but I'm still gonna do this interview with Natassia. And she comes and she sits with me and we're
That's
recording and
right.
we're listening and she's blessed by it.
That's right.
She
That's right.
sleeps well tonight and other people feel better. And so I'm saying to you, as professional women, sometimes we feel as though, okay, we need to shut down, we need to hide, we need to isolate, we need a 3 month vacation. I'm not
So
saying
true.
you may not need that, but I'm saying we have to serve through it. Personal, professional pain, you serve. That's one way to heal. Serve. Don't hide, right? Serve. Share a testimony so others can be blessed and serve.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So it's just a reminder that show up and show out, no matter what it looks like. You're tuned into Motivational Mondays. I am your host, Fionia Salmon, and today, my guest is Natassia, and she's sharing her life journey as it's a powerful reflection of her courage and also her purpose. Motivational Mondays is brought to you by Ionia Distributors LLC, the company that distributes my stainless steel barware sets and also my motivational t shirts, cups, mugs, pens, that featured the title of my book, It Will Belong But Not Forever. Please support me. Get a copy for a friend. They might be going through a hard time. It's one way to uplift. So go ahead and get a book. It's available on Amazon and all platforms that you actually scroll. And also, thank you so much for the love, the support that you've been showing me right throughout. And I just want to say, continue to share my content wide and far. And I really, really appreciate it. And if you're watching and you're tuning in right now, whether it's on Facebook, please go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's get this channel to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I would really, really, really appreciate it. And be sure, be sure to tune in every first and third Mondays in each month for Motivational Mondays. Now, let's get back into the discussion with Natassia. Behind every success story is a mindset that refuses to quit. Let's talk about how you keep yourself grounded and growing each day, step by step. Walk us through what mindset or daily rituals you that help you to stay focused no matter what is going on in those hard days.
All right, so that's a great question. I do remember that I mentioned that my husband is the avid reader, so he reads actual books, and I am an audible girl because I like to listen to my books on the move. I'm always doing something else with my hand, but let's go through a simple workflow, work week, or work day. I will get up in the morning. I don't really have a set time, but by 5:36, I'm up. I get up, I make sure I do pray, even if it's not a big devotion, but I'm going to pray, acknowledge that, listen, I'm grateful for another day, and I prepare to leave the house. I'll be out of there by a certain time. One thing I do before I start working, though, is I always have a list. I'm one of those persons who I journal a lot. I write things down. I always have a list for the day. So, what are the things that I'm going to get done today? And that pretty much guides me. It may not always work. I may have emergencies that may pop up. But at the end of the day, I'll be able to show that, listen, I did these 5 things, right? There is another one that I have literally recently implemented, and when I'm driving out of the house, I'm gonna think of things that I'm grateful for, because I mean, if you are not in the right frame of mind, you are going to be pulling for your phone first thing in the morning, and I can guarantee you, you're not seeing anything good when that's the first thing that meets you in the morning, right? You're going to be looking at news. You're going to be looking at all the devastation happening all around you, and your day can spiral from that. So I make sure that I, have a list of things that I'm grateful for, and I'll ponder on that so as to not to go down the road of thinking about everything negative, because they're there, the negatives are there, so that you focus. Now, everybody's day may look different, but that's what I do. For those who have the Bible app, you may look at your scripture for the day. You may actually do an entire chapter. It doesn't matter. Some mornings I may get up, I'll sit with Mr. Wright while he does devotion, and that may pretty much start my morning. But so a few things are vital. Pray before you get up, because we cannot take life for granted. There must be things that you are grateful for. No matter what, I try my best to put myself together well for the day. So I may not have on a face full of makeup, but my hair is gonna be combed and I'm gonna look really nice coming out of the house. I have a certain kind of list of things that I want to accomplish for the day, and just keep a mindset of attitude of gratitude. And we face so many obstacles throughout our days, we may not even realize it, but just remembering that God's grace is sufficient, and that we can go through any problem that you encounter. And so it's really about feeding yourself throughout the day. Some people do it first thing in the morning. I'll do it throughout the day. So I have my audiobooks that I listen to. I may listen to some sermons. It doesn't really matter. But remember, garbage in, garbage out. If you don't have anything substantial
That's
putting
right.
in, guaranteed you are going to end up in some serious problems. So that's pretty much me throughout any day.
I have this question in my head, and you just went ahead and just answered the question. I was about to ask a question to say, what message would you give to a young woman out there who feel like the odds are stacked against them? Just expand a little bit more and give that young woman that message. What would you say to them today? And I
Well,
say woman because you're strong and you're fierce and you're doing it regardless of what your past looked like. But what would you say?
I have so many things to say because I am that girl. The odds were stacked against me. I tell people
Mhm.
that I would have been a certified, in Jamaica we say certified cross, or,
Yes.
to be worthless. I said I could have been, or I was allowed to be that person because I had no parents around guiding me. I went to university on my own free will. Those are things that I got up and did. I never had to listen to anybody. But I decided that I wanted to be the change. And so I'd say to the young lady out there that feels as
Mhm.
though there's nothing going for you, the mere fact that you are breathing, the
Mhm.
mere fact that you can inhale and exhale,
Mhm.
you do have a purpose. And so you may feel as though everything is stacked against you, but you have favor. You are graced to do a particular thing. And if you find it, and if you ensure that you hone in your gifting or your craft or your skill, and you don't quit, because people forget about this perseverance part. They think that, oh, because I have a little singing voice
That's
and I
true.
sing a couple tune and they don't
Mhm.
catch on, I have to quit. No, you have to be persistent and you have to constantly show up. Understand, guys, that life doesn't just gives you what you want. You have to be deserving of it. And
That's
so I want you to understand that even though you feel as though you're in obscurity, obscurity doesn't mean that you're not important or not valuable. It means that you're in preparation season. You're being prepared for that thing. And so I'd say to you, use your time wisely. Find people that can actually guide you on the right path. Your association determines your path. It determines if you're gonna be successful or not. So find the right people to be around, right? You have to change your mindset. You can't be thinking every day doom and gloom. You can't get up every day and think that, oh, woe is
Mhm.
me. You have to change that and believe that things will turn around for you. Because there's a quote that says the man who thinks he can't is twice defeated. And it is so true. You have to believe that you can do it. And so, if these odds are stacked against you today, understand that you are in a prime position to get there, to make it, because we know that the underdogs are usually likely to win. There is a book out there by Malcolm Gladwell. It's called The Outlier. And it talks about how underdogs can do great things because the attention is not on you. So you have the time to prepare. You have the time to go back to school. You have the time to start working now. And so don't think that, oh, the odds are stacked against me, but more so, I want you to change that mindset and say how much further I can go if I truly believe in myself. If you take it from that angle, you'll be surprised at what happens for you and to you. And understand too that having goals is not enough. You have to work.
Right.
There's no such thing as overnight success. Overnight success takes on average 10 years. And so you just have to keep going regardless. All right?
Natassia, thank you so much. You were speaking to me directly. And
Wow.
thank you so much for the reminder. And thank you for reminding me to keep my head high,
Yes,
even in those tough moments. So I
absolutely.
just want to say thank you. And your journey is incredible, inspiring, but we know it's not over.
Yes.
Let's look ahead. What dreams or goals are still in your heart today, whether it's professionally or personally?
Absolutely. So, there are so many. There are so many. So, Mind Food right now is a leadership and development company. We also have an HR consultancy.
Okay.
But in the near future, we do believe that this is going to be the largest institution that focuses on leadership in this region. And so all the leaders, when they want to be certified, they're gonna have to call us, and they're gonna have to go through our schools. That's the long-term vision, right? But there's so many more goals about, community development that we have in mind, so on and so forth. But we are looking forward to it by God's grace. We are expanding globally. We're in the US, Canada, in the Caribbean. We're truly grateful for where God has taken us, but we know there's so much more in us. So you guys just have to stay tuned. You can find us on all social media platforms. Um, and it's my name, just as you see here on the screen, at Natassia Wright.
Wow, I'm excited to see your vision come to light. If you could define your legacy in one sentence, what would that be?
Wow, that's a really good question. Define my legacy in
In
one
one,
sentence.
let's say one sentence. In one sentence, what would that be?
It's the same sentence that I use everywhere I go. From tragedy to triumph. That is
Wow.
my legacy. From tragedy to triumph. And I get up every day, and I remind myself of that. Even when I'm feeling low, even when I don't feel like doing anything, I remember the story I go around and share with others is from tragedy to triumph. So victory is on the horizon for me.
Powerful, 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 powerful. Before you go, is there anything that you're currently working on that you would like to share with our listeners?
Okay, thank you so much. So, Mind Food
Yes.
International, the company my husband and I started 12 years ago, we are expanded globally. And when we say expanding, we mean we are working with corporate entities from all over the globe when it comes to recruitment, HR work. It may be that you need training, leadership development, customer service training. It may mean that you need a consultant to come in and look at what's happening in your organization. You may need strategy, solutions. We are there to do that. And so I encourage everyone listening, if you need help in any of these areas, feel free to reach out. You can find our website. It's www.mindfoodinternational.com, or find me on any platform, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, uh, Threads, and I feel like I'm missing one. I think that's it.
Facebook? Are you on
And
Facebook?
Facebook, yes, I knew I was missing one. And Facebook, and you'll get more information on those various platforms.
Thank you so much, Natassia. Your journey reminds us that staying determined in whatever, it doesn't born in comfort,
Yes,
but in struggle, and that no matter our past, we can write a powerful future. Thank you for sharing your heart with us. To everyone listening, may this episode serve as a reminder that even though the ashes, we can rise. This
yes.
is where we close Motivational Mondays. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, Motivational Mondays is every first and third Mondays of each month at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and 6 p.m. Jamaica time. So if you're in Jamaica, it's 6 p.m. on a Monday, first and third. So don't forget to share with your friends and family. And also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's Fionia and Friends. And if you already subscribed, thank you so much. And I'm asking you, please go ahead and share my content wide and far, especially this one. I want you to go ahead and share it. And don't forget to get a barware set, which is right here. Get my book as well. It will be long, but not forever. Also get my t-shirts. So remember the purple, the green, they're in unlimited amount. So please go ahead, DM me to get your t-shirts and I'll definitely send it to you. In the meantime, I'll be back in 2 weeks with more Motivational Mondays. Please watch all my social media platforms and you'll see who the next guest will be. So thank you so much. Until then, I am your host, Fionia Salmon. You'll have a great one and stay inspired. Thank you.
Bye.